Hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me fix this here. Why don't we? Yeah, we can do that. There we go. All right. Thank you all for joining us. My name is 𝐒𝐚𝐬, and this is Overtime. As we said yesterday, the East Wing of the White House has been demolished. We expected them to take longer to clear it. They had predicted finishing the demolition and clearing of everything by Sunday, but it looks like it's actually been done by now. And the speed at which this is happening is part of the concern that we spoke about yesterday and are going to bring up again. But we have our first picture, and we're going to show you some comparison pictures. But this picture is from Treasury. Now, normally you can't really see much of, and what you're looking at is when most people think of the White House, they think of the residence, which is the center building. So let's show this. Most people think of the residence when they think of the White House. They think of that building right there in the center. But the White House is actually the West Wing, the East Wing, and the residence. And you can see outlined the facade where people, and when you see in movies people driving up to the side of the White House, not the front but the side, it's usually the East Wing. It's got that circular, and that's the most common entrance used. Treasury is right opposite the East Wing. Now, if you're in Treasury, especially on one of the lower floors, all you can see is the East Wing. You can't see the residence. Which again is what most people think of as the White House, even though it's this entire thing. By the way, you'll also note on the West Wing, just to the right of the West Wing, you will notice a patch of grass that is the rose garden right there. And that's, if you again, the West Wing, just to the right of the West Wing, that rectangular shape between the West Wing and the White House residence, that is the Rose Garden. And that has been replaced by this patio here. So at any rate, this is now the view from the Treasury Department. As you can tell, you can see the residence quite clearly. This normally would have been obstructed, and you could maybe see the top of the again, what people consider the White House, the top of the residence. At this point, you can see the entire residence. Not only has that been demolished, which we were told yesterday was going to happen, Trump admitted that he was demolishing the entire thing. We already knew, we're going to get into how we knew, but we knew he was going to demolish the whole thing. He admitted it yesterday. But presumably he was going to stop at the walkway. Let me show this again. So there is the walkway from the East Wing to the residence. That is now also gone. So he has not stopped at the East Wing. He is going all the way up to the White House, which we told you he was going to do. This is an image of basically the entire thing that he has demolished. All of that is gone. Everything that you see there. You've seen pictures of it before. Would like to put up, this is a picture. Again, this is the most common entrance that people think of. And people think of this entrance as actually going into, because they say, oh, there's the entrance to the White House. So that, again, they think of this as the entrance to the residence. It's not. It's the entrance to the East Wing. But we've all seen this before. This is where the guard stands. And there's another entrance at the West Wing, but nobody uses it because it would be too much of a security risk, so people don't just drive up. The West Wing, of course, is where the Oval Office is. The West Wing is considered where the president does his work. The residence is where the president usually sleeps. It's also got its own entrance and some of the offices, and most of the other offices for communications, chief of staff, is in the East Wing. So all of that is now gone. So now let me just see here. This is this was it during the demolition. This is what we knew of yesterday, and you can just see the top from here. You can just see the top of again what people usually call the White House, the residence, and now, of course, once again you can see the entire thing because it's all gone. How, why, and what now? Was this the same building that Trump was on? Trump was, I think, on the West Wing roof. I don't recall. It may have been on the walkway. I think he was going from the West Wing roof. He was walking towards the residence. And by the way, you can see here the footprint, the planned footprint for the ballroom. This is the updated, since the ballroom was supposed to be, let's see, where is the approximate footprint of the newly installed patio in the White House Rose Garden. Yeah, so this picture shows you everything very nicely, and you can see from Treasury, again, the East Wing would normally be blocking your view. Now, Trump has told the Associated Press today that, well, let's get into what he said over the last couple of days and today. He said yesterday, actually, that him and some friends of his were going to pay for the ballroom, that the taxpayers needn't worry. That's not the concern of the taxpayers. The United States, well, I'll get into that in a minute. But the concern of the taxpayers isn't really the money, although, frankly, for someone who's trying to cut the budget, he says, and the budget is out of control, adding this huge ballroom, which originally was supposed to be able to support 600 people and can now support 1,000. Trump said that keeping the East Wing would have, quote, hurt a very, very expensive, beautiful building that presidents have wanted for years. So what he's saying is he couldn't keep the East Wing because the ballroom was so important and going to be so beautiful, and the East Wing was going to look terrible by comparison. He's not entirely wrong. And the reason for that is this is going to be a very modern, very gauche, very Trump building. Imagine it connected to a 246-year-old White House, connected to the East Wing. So he's not wrong. Having said that, obviously the White House is more important. This has actually affected me far more than I would have thought. I wouldn't have expected a piece of architecture, a building, to affect me. But the United States is a relatively young country, and we don't have a lot of culture compared to many countries in Europe that have been around for 2,000 years. If you go to Greece, you will see things that have gone through 10, 20, 30 generations of human beings, even more. You will see the cradle of civilization. You can see buildings that are thousands of years old. In the U.S., a building is old if it's 50 years old. The White House has been around ostensibly about 246 years, and it has been demolished without any of the proper permits. Trump has violated the law. There's 3 agencies that are supposed to be involved in this. One is only supervisory. The other 2 he requires legal permits from, and he hasn't obtained. One of them has already issued an injunction and told him to stop, which he ignored. Now, what he has said he's going to do is, and he keeps expanding the size of this building, and he expanded it into the entire East Wing. Now, he's been lying about this quite clearly from the beginning, and we know this because at first he said he was just going to do the facade, and he'd connect it through the facade, and now he's saying, well, it's going to be so beautiful, it's going to look terrible connected, which is probably true. Well, actually, no, what he said first was that you couldn't connect it through the facade because the connections were so different. It was an older construction, and the newer construction couldn't connect to the older construction, so they would have to tear down half of the east wing and connect it, and then just merge the buildings. Now, the problem with this is he's a builder, which he brags about a lot, and he didn't know about that ahead of time. He didn't have someone look at it and say, "Oh, you're not going to be able to connect these buildings." Well, according to him, nobody knew. So once they were halfway through the construction, they ended up having to destroy the other half because they learned that they couldn't actually keep the building. This is utter horseshit, and the way we know that is because when you demolish half a building, you have to build supports first for the other half. You then make a clean cut and then break it away. Nothing about this has been clean. If you watch the images of, and I don't think I have any queued right now, but the images of the bulldozers just tearing through. Yeah, let me see if I can snag one, because I would like to get one of the images of the bulldozers just tearing through the, where'd it go? Yeah, it's going to give me a hard time, isn't it? The way these, well, actually, we've already got, never mind, we got this one. This isn't the one I wanted to, I mean, bulldozers are not making any effort to preserve any material here. This is a complete demolition. And we can see what I'd like to get. Yeah, let me, here we go. I'm gonna get an image of the demolition all the way up to, and we're gonna see he's demolished it all the way up to the residence. So let me get one. This is going to take me, I think, one more second here if we're lucky. Yeah, here we go. I've got an image I like. Let's so we've known from the beginning that he really was intending on destroying the entire thing. Now, he said, too, he was never even going to touch the building, that obviously the building was sacrosanct. Nobody would want to touch any part of the East Wing. And at this point, he's completely destroyed it. This is a picture from today. And what you can see is the demolition goes all the way up to the residence. So he has demolished not only the East Wing, but the entire walkway of the East Wing. Now this is the West Wing, but you can see the walkway is similar this is a picture from the West Wing. You can also see where the East Wing was on the other side of the residence. But if you take a look at this picture, you can see that whole walkway is gone now on the other side. And he's cut all the way up to it. Now, what he said he's going to do is make a glass walkway from the ballroom. Now, the ballroom has expanded. It's going to hold 1,000 people. First of all, nobody's seen any blueprints of this ballroom. We don't know who the designer was. We don't even know if there was a designer. He hasn't filed the blueprints with anything, including the Historical Preservation Society, which has a congressional mandate to preserve the White House. And he has now violated, and they've said that he does not have the requested permits. His press secretary has come out and said, no, the permits are only to build, and we haven't built anything, we're just demolishing. That is not true. They sent him on Tuesday a notification that demolishing also requires a permit, and that he's in violation of the law, and he is continuing, obviously, to do so, probably utilizing the government shutdown, and is going to use that as an excuse for miscommunication. I don't know. But again, his intention has been clear from the beginning, and you can tell because of the way he demolished it. He demolished it with zero effort being made to preserve any of the building. And the fact that he demolished it so quickly, the demolition basically started on Monday, and it was just supposed to be the facade. It is now done, and it's gone all the way through. That is not an accident. That is not an accident. So he's going to make this glass walkway from the ballroom to the residence. The problem is, how is he going to connect them? How is he going to connect them? Because last time when he tried to connect the ballroom to the White House, the problem was so huge he had to destroy the entire East Wing. Now he's going to connect the ballroom's walkway to the residency. Anyone want to take a bet that he's going to have a problem doing that? I don't think he's going to stop here. I think he's going to demolish the entire White House. In fact, I have no doubt in my mind that that is his goal. He's going to do the residence next. Whether he does it now or he waits until he's constructing, I don't know. He's an incrementalist. That's how he's been so successful. And that's how he did this, in increments. His original plan was to put it up alongside the East Wing. Basically, take up that space, just tear down the trees there, tear down that center thing, and put a ballroom in there. And you could put a reasonably small ballroom, and it's a reasonably small building. This isn't a palace. It's not supposed to be a palace, because this isn't a dictatorship. We don't have palaces. But the ballroom now is estimated to be 90,000 square feet. To give you an idea, the White House is 55,000 square feet. So the ballroom is going to be twice the size of the White House. You can see his objection to putting a building twice the size of, and they've said the White House, I think they meant the residence, the central building. So imagine something twice the size of that center building connected to the East Wing. He's right. It would look really kind of bizarre. You'd have a Trumpian, gaudy, gold and stainless steel building right next to that would be huge. It would dwarf the East Wing. So he doesn't want that. I understand that. That doesn't mean you demolish the East Wing, but I get his argument. So he's demolished the East Wing and the entire walkway there. The problem is the argument still stands. And the argument still stands when comparing the ballroom to the White House. The ballroom is going to be about twice the size of the center building, what again we usually consider when we talk about the residence, the main building. It's going to be twice that size. You think he's going to keep the main building when it's half the size of just the ballroom? You think he's going to sleep in a building that's half the size of the building next to it that he just built? And he said yesterday that on Monday he had been told he can do whatever he wants with the entire White House because he's the president. And he said it in this usual, and you can see our show from yesterday. We have the exact quote that he gave. I don't remember what it was, but something along the lines of he was just like, oh, too bad, I can't do this, this, and this. And they told me, well, you're the president, you can do whatever you want. So now I'm going to go do that. Yeah, I'm sure that conversation really happened. Meanwhile, the press secretary has said that Trump is doing what every president has always wanted to do. And he's the first one who has ever actually known how to do it. He's the first president who was a builder and can, in fact, do these renovations, if you call it complete demolition or renovation. Let's see. The Trump Bush scaled. I guess Trump was. So you had asked which part of the roof Trump had been on, but it looks like while everyone was making fun of Trump being on the roof and that he was confused. It looks now like he was actually on the roof because he was trying to figure out exactly how he was going to demolition this. So he's been planning this for a while, and he has complained, in fact. He told NBC that he intends to replace the terribly remodeled bathroom in the Lincoln bedroom, and he's going to replace a whole bunch of what's inside the residency with a closer to the style of the 19th century. But at this point, again, it looks like he's basically intending to replace the entire thing. Let's see. The East Wing is... Oh, yeah, the East Wing also did actually have it. Well, it had the dining hall was in the East Wing, so the dining hall is gone. The two first ladies created history, planning dinners, the two-story structures of drawing rooms and offices, and the workplace for the first ladies and their staff all were in the East Wing. So all of that is gone, which, by the way, that's the other problem that he's going to point out. Here's what he's going to say. Once he builds the ballroom, he's going to say, well, now we have to replace all the offices that were lost, because they lost the dining room where they have state dinners. And they maybe are going to use the ballroom, but what if they need something smaller because they're not having an entire... So they've lost the offices of the First Lady. They've lost, I think, the office of the Chief of Staff. They've lost all of this. He's going to... I know the argument he's going to make next. Well, we got to replace it, so we're going to have to build a new building to replace it. And the only place you can build that right now that would make any sense would be the residency. So... that's it. He's going to wipe out. And what blows my mind is it's the Republicans where they're like, well, history is important. You can't tear down that statue of what is it, of Andrew Jackson or Ulysses, not Grant, sorry, Robert E. Lee. You can't tear down that statue of Robert E. Lee, but destroying the White House is okay. And I don't know if it's okay. Maybe they haven't had time to really process this, but it's been 3 days. And there hasn't been the outrage over this that I'd have expected, but I think so many of us are in shock. Blonde Bombsheller had asked earlier, and in answer to her question, because it's a valid question, was anything saved? Did anybody think to like, oh, let's pull out priceless works of art or anything that was in like people's offices or things that have been in there for any period of time. Let's at least pull that out and save it. The problem is, originally, none of this was supposed to be demoed. As of Monday, none of this was supposed to be demoed, and they've been just using like backhoes and wrecking cranes to just tear through it, and they've gone through it at such a high speed. I mean, just ripped right through it. I can't fathom anything's been saved. I certainly don't think Trump would care either way, but again, as of Sunday night, it was just supposed to be the facade, and again, there was he didn't put any plans up for this thing. And the reason he didn't was because he was lying when he said just the facade. And again, we know that because he did none of the work that would be required to save the rest of the building when you do something like that. And he brought in equipment not that would remove a facade, but that would demolish an entire building. And we don't know who planned the new building. We don't know what the plans are for there's nothing public about this. He's just demolished it. It's gone. And again, the U.S. does not have a tremendous number of historical things because we haven't been around that long. We don't think of ourselves as a new country. The reason is we're, for all intents and purposes, the most powerful country on the planet. We're sliding, and we're sliding fast. But we've been the most powerful country on the planet for quite some time, so we keep forgetting that we're also one of the younger countries on the planet. There are countries that have been around for thousands of years in one form or another. China among them, half of Europe among them. We don't have a lot of art. And if you take a look at every human being, for the most part on Earth, could recognize the White House. If you showed them a picture and said, "What's this?" they'd know. It was a hugely recognizable landmark. And I say was as if the central part, which is the most recognizable part. Again, when I say White House, and this is just, people get confused, and when I say White House, most people think of the residence. That's what they think of and they think that that's just the White House. The White House is actually all three buildings. But most people think of the residence, and if you show somebody a picture of the residence, especially from the front, everybody knows what it is. The East Wing is gone. There is no doubt in my mind the residence is next. And Trump has suggested it already, because he has said that the East Wing, the looks clashed between the East Wing and the Ballroom. And they clashed so much that you couldn't have them next to each other. It would look terrible. So that's why he destroyed the East Wing, which is interesting because yesterday he said the reason he was going to destroy the East Wing was because he couldn't connect the two. It wasn't an aesthetic choice. It was an engineering choice. And then the day before that, the reason he was going past the facade was the same reason. It was an engineer. Ooh, we just learned we have to go further. So he's been lying from the beginning. So when he says, "Oh, we're just going to stop there," he's already laid the foundation to destroy the entire White House. And I don't see anything that's going to stop him at this point. And yeah, it's having an effect on me. I wouldn't expect it to, because it's just a building. But again, we don't have much in the U.S. that's been around more than 200 years. And the White House is one of them, and it's a historic building. I remember Obama's walk when he said, "We got bin Laden." You know, we know all have White House moments that we can think about. And apparently, and now his chief of staff is like, "Well, it doesn't matter." Or not chief of staff, press secretary is like, "Nobody cares. We don't care. This is what is supposed to happen." It's absolutely shocking. And it's a complete reversal, too, of the position that he had originally, which he knew he wouldn't be able to get elected or even get tacit approval from the conservatives without that. And now they're all so kowtowed. And after, I expect Speaker Johnson to be coming out any minute saying, you know, "This is a great job destroying the White House. Why don't you do Congress next?" And this is, again, we've talked before, and we've got a show tonight with Commander Lance McMillan, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be downtime. We've talked before about what dictators, or fascists in particular, do, and what dictators do. And one of the things is they build huge structures to glorify the empire and glorify themselves. This ballroom has required the destruction of a lot of offices that are going to need to be rebuilt. He's going to rebuild it, and he's going to rebuild, and he's going to build. This whole thing is going to be the first palace in U.S. history. He is replacing the White House, an executive building, with a palace, a building for a king. That's what he's doing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And he's started and just completely destroyed 1/3 without any cause or concern for any of it. But don't worry, he's going to stop. Daddy Jim, member for 6 months. Evening, everyone. Good evening, Daddy Jim. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us on such short notice. We saw the photos. We had to go. Yeah, it's just like Saddam. He's building palaces. This is going to be a palace. A ballroom for 1,000 people is a palace. The White House deliberately was not a palace. Deliberately. No, nobody wanted palaces. This is what the No Kings, for the people who sit there and say, oh no, Trump's not a king, so the No Kings thing doesn't make sense. So, well, for someone who's not a king, he's building a palace. Isn't that what kings do? Oh, dear Lord. Dunk on you, $20. Working but listening, screw Trump, amen. Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava, Spasiba Bolshoye Тоже. Dunk on you 23 gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much for that gift. We appreciate your support, Dunk on you. You've been very supportive, and it really does help, especially now. There's a lot of work. Go with the flow, member 14 month. Where the fuck do we live? That's why I've been playing that. Oh, it's Hilldale, all right, but I can't imagine hell being much worse. Yeah. I mean, I still think the Epstein files are extraordinarily important. I think we realized with the release of, and that may be another reason he's doing this, is because the release of, we literally, was it Tuesday? Guthrie released the memoir implicating, what's his name? Prince Andrew, who's no longer a prince, who's no longer a duke, explaining that this is a bigger network than people have thought, and the suggestion that Trump was more than just a client, that he was perhaps either helping fund and or supply, that Mar-a-Lago was, with Trump's knowledge, a supply of young women into Epstein's. That would involve Trump in the trafficking himself, not just that's staggering. Oh, oops, somebody might implicate me in child trafficking. Let's blow up the East Wing of the White House. Well, that'll distract people. That'll get people's attention. I had a friend of mine earlier saying, how the hell do I know what to pay attention to? Trust me, it's not easy. We're doing our best. That's, LJ, you and I are going to have to talk. That's, I mean, we hope that's one of the things we do successfully, but, it's judgment calls. We sit down, we talk about it, and we say, where are we going to focus? Because they are deliberately, we are watching a magician at work, and he's just like, oh, Epstein files are here, just blew up the White House over here. And it's very deliberate. So, Hooligan, the Canadian Parliament is also under construction. It could be a good comparison for how this project could have been handled. Yeah. It's there's a million ways. The reality is he was supposed to file paper. When you do any construction, you have to file paperwork with the town or city that you're in. And the White House is no exception, except that you have to file with an additional community that, an additional, the Preservation Society, before you do any construction there. And as when they added the bowling alley, they had to do that. When they added, when they switched the tennis courts to a basketball court, they actually had to get permission, which would make sense because the house doesn't belong, and I know Trump doesn't understand this, and he doesn't care. National Historic Preservation, thank you. It doesn't belong to him. It doesn't even belong to the office of the presidency. It belongs to the people of the United States. And he seems to think that because he's paying for it with private money, at least he says he's going to, who the hell knows? I'm concerned he's going to. I'm concerned the money's going to come from Vladimir Putin. But that changes things. It's public land. It's public land. He can't put a private building on public land. And there's a reason it's public land, and it's more important than him, and it's more important than his private money. It belongs to the people of the United States. He doesn't understand that, and that's what scares me, because he really does think he's a king. He thinks, well, yeah, I'm president. I can do whatever I want. He's a king without the title. UTV and Ham, the one good deed for the day. So UTV and Ham, I've got to ask, because do you only do one good deed a day? First of all, I am delighted that if you do only do one good deed a day, that your good deed is donating on In Time. I really do appreciate it. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I have been curious for some time. Is it really only one a day? Asking for a friend. Anyways, thank you very much for your continued support. I do appreciate that. I've got to check a couple of quick things, and then we'll see where we stand. Yep. Okay. So we've got the okay. Yeah, we're not going to go on there, and then. All right. So we know also that, okay, yeah, we're tracking several different pieces of breaking news as it was yesterday. I gotta tell you, I like it when shows fit into a nice little box. This is all we talked about with breaking. Sometimes it ends up being so with breaking, it ends up sometimes being, you know, there's more than one thing going on in the world. It's always weird when that happens. We do know things have been getting dicey with both Venezuela and with Colombia. And right now, it looks like Trump basically wants to attack and or invade Venezuela. And we have reports that a number of private planes have been leaving Venezuela. And it looks as if air defense systems are being redeployed in Venezuela. So it wouldn't surprise me. And again, you're sitting there going, how much can he do in one day? A lot. It wouldn't surprise me. We saw the 8th boat attack yesterday. So and that was the first one in the Pacific. So he's moved out of the Caribbean into the Pacific. He attacked and blew up a boat with civilians on it in the Pacific, unarmed, with civilians on it. It wouldn't surprise me if we see an attack. If there's going to be an attack in Venezuela, it wouldn't surprise me if it's going to be reasonably soon. There's some indication that Venezuela is concerned, and that people who have the ability to leave are leaving. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Hopefully that won't cut into. We'll see. Tonight we're going to be with Lance. I was going to say, we're going to try to keep it light. It's a downtime. The whole point is to keep it light and have a good time. But I think it's going to be hard. My guess is Lance is going to be triggered as well. He was in the military. I think he's going to be triggered by the. So we'll see. 9 p.m. Eastern. Looking forward to that. Lance is always a lot of fun to have on. So I think it'll be a good show either way. And I think we have covered everything. Oh, I did want to check the live chat one more time, and then we'll yep. Oh, okay, there we go. No, that didn't do that. All right, cool. Well, so that's it. As I said before, and I think we'll show you one last time for those of you just joining us. They've gone all the way, the entire east wing is now gone. They've gone all the way up to the east wall of the residence. You can actually see now the residence from the Treasury Department. You can, look out. Normally there'd be a building there, but that building is now gone. And so you can see east wing. You can see here the floor plan for the ballroom. Again, that ballroom is going to be twice the size of the residence. So, it's a good question as to what Trump's going to do about the residents. We've already told you what we think. So, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Commander Lance McMillan for Downtime. Try to stay sane and have a good afternoon all.